Yo, when the pressure's on, you've got to deliver. Because if you don't, it's looking peak. Yes, people, you know the face, you know the name. Aaron here, back again with another video. Shout out to everybody tuning in as always. Shout out to everybody showing love and support every single time, whether you're liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, all of that good stuff. I appreciate every single one of you. Now, let's get into our video. You've seen the thumbnail, you've seen the title. I think it can happen. Will it happen? That's a different story. But can it happen? Absolutely it can. Do I want it to happen? Despite me having a slight bias for Bayern Munich, obviously growing up in Germany, there were only two teams you could really support in school. You either supported Bayern Munich, you either supported Borussia Dortmund, or you supported Schalke, who at the time were kind of good as well. So like I said, despite my slight bias for Bayern Munich, I do want it to happen. I want to see someone else lift the Bundesliga Schale, the Meisterschale. I want it to be someone else who lifts it. So can it happen? Absolutely it can. Do I want it to happen? Yes, I do. So yeah, let me know in the comments below if you want to see someone else lift the Bundesliga title other than Bayern Munich after winning it 11 years in a row. But we're here to talk about Bayer Leverkusen, of course. This is crazy. They are still unbeaten in the Bundesliga. And if I check my stats correctly, because I don't want to say nothing wrong, I don't want to give you non-factual stuff. Bayer Leverkusen, that's 28 games in the Bundesliga, 24 wins, 4 draws, and no losses. That is insane. Absolutely insane, and I think it's way over 38 or 39 games in all competitions. Could be 40, still unbeaten. That is absolutely crazy. Xabi Alonso is working miracles with that team. He took them from, I'm not going to say damn near relegation, but they weren't really doing well. They were not doing well at all. And for people that know the history of Leverkusen, they've always been a team that had good players, moved them on, but they were always in and around, the European places, and they always had something to say. Not in a title race, but they were always there and thereabouts, sometimes upsetting big teams here and there. They were always amongst those teams like Schalke, Dortmund, Werder Bremen, who were kind of seen as traditional clubs, is what we call them in Germany. But at some point, they just fell off, man. They just really fell off. And for those who remember, like I said, for those who know their story, they've had players like Toni Kroos, they've had players like Arturo Vidal, they've had amazing players, Michael Ballack, of course. They've had amazing players play for their club. So it was really sad to see, the clubs, I'm not going to say the club's demise, but it wasn't really good. But here comes Xabi Alonso, appointed, and within a season, title contender. That is absolutely insane. He's doing such an incredible job. And if we go back in time, because now Leverkusen find themselves in a very, very privileged position, a very good position, but we need to be careful. We need to be very, very careful. Despite Leverkusen having a 15-point lead on Bayern Munich, this could still... Nah, I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to speak it into existence, people. I'm not going to do that. But they do have a 15-point lead on Bayern Munich, which is something, in my opinion, that has never happened before. I've never seen Bayern Munich be so far off the top. That's crazy. So, yeah. They only need 1 point if they want to be champions. They only need 1 point on the weekend when they play against... I was going to say West Ham, but that's the next game in the Europa League. But when Bayer Leverkusen play against Werder Bremen, they only need 1 point. And this brings me back in time because ironically, in 2002, when Bayer Leverkusen were 5 points clear of Borussia Dortmund and they had to play Werder Bremen next, they lost that game. Then they had to play, I think it was it a direct... confrontation with Borussia Dortmund? I can't remember. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. They lost the second game after that because they were 5 points ahead with 3 games to spare. Lost the first game against Werder Bremen, lost the game after that, and despite winning their last game against Hertha Berlin 2-1, Borussia Dortmund won their game against Werder Bremen 2-1 as well, and that meant that Borussia Dortmund were champions. And unfortunately for Leverkusen, they bottled the league. A few days later, they came up against Schalke in the DFB Pokal Finale, which is the German Cup final. And they lost 4-2 despite going up 1-0. Again, another cup not lifted by Leverkusen. And then they had the biggest task of them all. The biggest task of them all was against Real Madrid in the Champions League final. And we all know what happened. I don't need to talk. Zidane did a Zidane. Real Madrid won the Champions League. And that was 3 trophies bottled in a space of a week and a half for Dortmund. I was going to say Dortmund, but it's not. That was 3 trophies bottled for Bayer Leverkusen in a space of a week and a half. And obviously, this situation is kind of similar now. The position they find themselves in, 15 points ahead. They've got 1 game to spare to clinch the title. 1 point is all they need. Then they have a very good run to the Europa League final, potentially, where they could face Liverpool. This could be very interesting. And they can also lift the German Cup, which is the DFB Pokal, where they will face Kaiserslautern in the final, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, they will be facing Kaiserslautern in the German Cup final. So I'm not going to call this the treble, but this can be a treble. And if Bayer Leverkusen manage to do that in Xabi Alonso's first season as a professional, first full season as a professional manager in the professional game, I can't even imagine the amount of praise this guy's going to get, because the party in Leverkusen is going to be insane. Absolutely insane. And honestly, just for Xabi Alonso, because I appreciate the player and I appreciate him as a manager and I rate him as a manager as well. I rate the principles that he's instilled in that team. I rate the type of football that he plays. It's structured, but at the same time, there's a lot of freedom. And I always pick the example of someone like Grimaldo and Jeremy Frimpong. Both are fullbacks, but you see them everywhere. That tells you that there's a structure, but the players have freedom. Do you see what I mean? Someone like Florian Wirtz, a lot of freedom. Do you see what I mean? Patrick Schick scoring last-minute winners almost every game. He's done it in 3 of the last games now, all competitions. So he's instilled a structure, but a sort of freedom that we don't really see in a lot of teams, apart from maybe Pep's teams, if I'm not wrong. So I'm looking forward to that. And honestly, the game on the weekend where Leverkusen are going to play against Werder Bremen, we will be there. We will watch it. And it's at home as well, so that's more of an incentive. That's even more of a motivation for Leverkusen to try and win it. And I don't think they will be given the Meisterschale at that game. I think it will be on the last match day. Traditionally, that's what they always do. But to see the party going on the pitch will be amazing. So listen, I want it to happen. Do you guys want it to happen? Let me know in the comment section below. As for Bayern Munich, this will be a hard lesson for them. Do you know what I mean? This will be a very hard lesson for them. They have to look themselves very, very good in the mirror. I know that this Thomas Tuchel story at Bayern Munich, I told you from the get-go, this wasn't going to be a good wedding. You knew that the divorce was around the corner. And I believe he managed to lose the dressing room within a space of 2 or 3 months. I think, the pivotal moment of him losing the dressing room was when the Sane and Mane incident happened. I think that's when he lost it. He lost the dressing room completely. Nobody was listening to him anymore. And you saw the consequences of it. You saw the consequences. Last season, got slapped by Man City, crashed out of the Champions League, slapped by Manchester City. And this season, they've been okay in the Champions League. They've won the games they should have won. In the league, obviously, they've been atrocious. And tomorrow, obviously, this is recorded on Monday. Tomorrow is the big test. Tomorrow is when we will see if Bayern Munich can take it up against a very, very strong Arsenal side. I still think when their backs are against the wall, Bayern Munich will do what they have to do, but it's not going to be easy. Anyway, this wasn't really about Bayern Munich. This was more about Bayer Leverkusen. I want it to happen, man. I want them to lift the Premier League. I want them to lift the Bundesliga title. I want them to win it because they deserve it. They've been by far By far the best team in the Bundesliga. And what I want them to do as well, I want them to carry on winning their games, even if they would have, clinched the title. I want them to carry on winning games, the remainder of the games that they have. So if they beat Werder Bremen, or if they draw against Werder Bremen, no matter what happens, all the games after that, don't lose. Because I want them to do the impossible, which is win the league unbeaten. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. Thank you for all your support. And I will see you tomorrow for a match reaction of the Champions League action. See you soon. Peace and have a good evening. Can't lie, I'm looking forward to the Champions League, baby. This is going to be epic. But Leverkusen, big up, man. Big up.